Welcome, seekers of truth and lovers of layered storytelling, to a chapter that will shift how we perceive the private storms behind the brightest smiles. You're at home here at Secrets Behind the Stars. In the expansive, neon-lit maze of Turkish showbiz, certain silences thunder, and the one that wrapped itself around Sila Türkoğlu did exactly that. Audiences used to her spark, her agile humor, her composed, camera-ready grace were startled when the rhythm stopped. Without warning, her social presence dimmed, invitations went unanswered, and the woman who navigates scripts with poise receded into a hush so dense it swallowed every rumor trying to fill it. Whispers multiplied. Was it collapse cloaked as modesty, or a calculated pause by someone determined to protect what remains sacred? Before we tell you about the midnight call that snapped everything into focus, and the project that could reframe the next phase of her career, and his, I invite you to subscribe to Secrets Behind the Stars. Tap the bell so every heartbeat of this saga reaches you first. And if you want the keys to the locked rooms, sources, context, the stories others won't touch, press join and support the work that treats artists like human beings, not headlines. Let's dive into what we have come to understand as a deliberate withdrawal, a spiritual quarantine crafted by Sila with a precision that surprised insiders. After seasons of scrutiny, after every murmur about her heart and every critique about her choices, she did something radical. She chose quiet. Phones off. Meetings cancelled. Conversations trimmed to a handful of confidants and family. No brand launches, no quick interviews, no obliging smiles on carpets she no longer wanted to walk. Production halls buzzed with confused theories, but the truth was simpler and far braver. She wasn't hiding. She was listening, to herself. She let the noise empty out until she could hear what the world had muted, her own timing, her own map. A break in the broadcast of routines became the incubation for a new design. And while shows speculated, she was learning to breathe without translating the breath into content. She was holding her ground, waiting for a signal that would cut through her silence without puncturing it, something honest enough to reset the axis. And then, deep in a night so still it seemed to hum, the phone rang. It wasn't a manager, and it wasn't a request dressed up as opportunity. It was a voice tethered to history, a voice she knew in her bones, Halil Ibrahim Sayhan. The conversation unspooled for more than an hour, and those close enough to witness the aftermath described a silence heavier than before, but softer too. When it ended, she sat motionless, the kind of stillness that follows a storm you did not expect to survive. Tears came, not as collapse, but as release. The word that escaped her, as remembered by someone in that narrow circle, went like this: I spent so long feeling emptied out, and then a single call returned everything tenfold. It wasn't poetry, it was recognition. The person at the other end was not a ghost from the past, he was a bridge to the future. The mystery of what they said remains locked, but the impact has been visible ever since. He did not save her. He reminded her of what she already carried, and how different that weight feels when someone else is strong enough to help hold it. Pause with us, Secrets Behind the Stars family. Do you believe that retreating into quiet is sometimes the only way to hear the truth? Have you ever had a piece of news, or a simple call, rearrange every room in your mind? Share your stories in the comments. Tell us how this recalibrated direction for Sila, and yes, for Halil, lands with you, and which other artists you want us to approach with this level of care and depth. If you appreciate analysis that doesn't reduce people to plot twists, hit like. And if you want to stand with our independent reporting, the join button is more than a gesture, it's how you become part of this work's spine. Membership keeps us traveling, checking, listening, and bringing details that others rush past. Click join and stay at the center of Secrets Behind the Stars. Now to the secret she guarded in that quiet. According to the most credible murmurs within the industry, the project awaiting both of them is international, demanding, and unlike anything they have led before. Forget the expected romance beats and familiar arcs. Think instead of a textured, psychological narrative anchored by two people facing the residue of their history, on screen and off. For Sila, it buries the label of the fragile dreamer and introduces the woman who chooses her storms. For Halil, it breaks the frame of stoic protector and invites a layered, wounded strength that has to earn its peace. The production would take them outside Turkey for long stretches, forcing them to reinvent not only their craft but the shape of their days. It's a leap into a space where applause isn't guaranteed, a refusal to be fed by easy wins. This is them choosing a narrative that demands stamina and vulnerability, and that makes the risk worth it. This is not about market comfort. It is about art that asks for their full selves. One of the pillars of this pivot is a sharpened philosophy that has been quietly forming in Sila's private hours. In a conversation held within her tight circle, she is said to have drawn a line through her past and said, "Until now, I learned to live with the weight of decisions that weren't mine. From here on, I live with the weight of choices I make." Those words were not shouted, they were placed like stones on the ground. Istanbul's gossip pages tried to read them as defiance, but what they really marked was an arrival. For too long, other voices hovered, trending takes, executive plans, the echo of old narratives. Those layers remain, but they no longer drive. She doesn't explain to mute noise anymore, she simply declines to amplify it. Halil, for his part, has matched that clarity with his own quiet steadiness. He has not staged heroics. He has offered presence and a discipline that widens the road rather than crowds it. Together, they are not a headline about reconciliation. They are two professionals drawing clean boundaries and aligning their work with their truth. Family has mattered more in this rebuild than any public show of unity ever could. After the call and the green light for the new project, there was a long, private conversation between Sila and her mother. The words weren't scripted, and they didn't need to be. Emotions had space to breathe without performance. At one point, as recounted by someone who loves them both, she said, "Mom, I don't need to pretend strength anymore. I know it's mine." It was a sentence that closed years of trying to earn what she already possessed. The relief in that room did not sound like applause, it sounded like a long exhale. Halil respected that space and did not rush to be seen in it. He understood that some bridges must be walked in silence, and that his support would be measured not by gestures made for cameras, but by the steadiness he brings when the cameras are gone. In that web of family and trust, the tension eased. Not into complacency, but into a rooted calm that travels with you wherever you go. After weeks of deliberate distance, the first public pulse arrived. Sila broke her digital fast with a single image and a single word, beginning. No captions explaining what didn't need explaining. No hashtags trying to name the unnamed. Within minutes, the post moved like wildfire, and yet, it wasn't noise. Fans who know how to listen heard it as a claim, not a tease. The beginning wasn't about a calendar or a press cycle, it was about a person. Once, a rumor could spark a reaction and 1,000 speculative storms. Now, she exits conversations that will not serve her, more inclined to let silence do the work that answers cannot. Halil responded with his own quiet nod, a low-key studio still, lit by purpose rather than spectacle. It was an echo without shouting, a way of saying that the path ahead is shared, not staged. The comments flooded in, not just hearts and exclamation marks, but long messages from people who recognized the courage in letting go of the need to narrate your every step. Thank you for trusting secrets behind the stars as your companion through these layered journeys. If you're not yet part of our members' circle, you are missing the reports we only publish inside that community: context, travel notes, fragments of conversations that add nuance to the picture. Click join to keep us independent and to make sure we can keep meeting sources where the stories actually live. Your membership keeps our focus precise and ethical. It allows us to be patient when patience is the only way to get the real story, and to move quickly when the moment demands it. If this chronicle leaves you thinking, share it with someone who loves to look beneath the glitter, and make sure you subscribe so you never miss a heartbeat. As this arc closes for now, one thing is unmistakable: we are not watching two people maneuver publicity. We are watching two artists drafting a life that can carry their work without breaking it. The old shadows, misinterpretations, projections, the weight of other people's plans, are losing their power. The year ahead promises the kind of test that reveals whether a philosophy holds when schedules get brutal and expectations rise. International stages do not forgive shortcuts, but they reward integrity. That is the bet being placed here, that the work will speak because they did the quieter work first. And we will be here, tracking every mile, not to intrude, but to illuminate. To honor the difference between appetite and depth. To follow courage where it leads, rather than drag it where it doesn't want to go. So, when the first slate snaps and the first line lands, remember what brought them to this place. It wasn't a scandal decorated as destiny. It wasn't a strategy committee. It was two people who paused long enough to hear themselves, who let a night call reopen the future, and who chose a story worthy of their hard-earned calm. If this speaks to you, tap like, subscribe to Secrets Behind the Stars, and consider joining our inner circle by pressing join. Your support keeps this flame alive. We will meet you in the next exclusive, right here, where the surface is only the beginning and the human heart is always the center of the tale.